Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a man, let's call him John, who wakes up in the morning, steps out of bed, and finds himself alone. There is no one there to greet him, no one to talk to over coffee, no one to share a laugh with at lunch. He lives in a world of his own making, isolated from the human connections that we, as social creatures, so deeply need. His life, once full of possibility, is now a quiet echo of emptiness. Friendship is one of the most vital relationships that shape our lives. It is often said that a person is only as good as their friends, and this holds a deep truth. At its core, friendship is not simply about companionship or shared experiences, it is fundamentally about responsibility. To understand this, one must look beyond the surface-level notion of friends as people with whom we share good times. True friendship is a pact of mutual care, respect, and active engagement, and it requires consistent effort, thoughtfulness, and a sense of duty toward the other person. The responsibility in friendship begins with the individual. You must first take responsibility for yourself. This includes knowing who you are, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and being honest about your intentions and needs. The foundation of any meaningful friendship starts with self-awareness. If you are not clear on your own values, boundaries, or emotional state, it becomes difficult to relate to another person in an authentic way. This self-understanding is essential because in the absence of it, you cannot truly give to others in a way that will build a lasting and fulfilling relationship. Moreover, friendship is a two-way street. It is a partnership that requires both individuals to be responsible for their roles in maintaining the relationship. Each person must actively contribute to the bond rather than passively expecting the other to carry the weight. This means that when your friend needs you, you show up not out of obligation, but out of genuine concern and care. It involves being there for them when they are struggling, offering emotional support, and even taking action to help them navigate their challenges. In turn, when you face difficulties, you trust them to be there for you in the same way. There is a mutual responsibility in friendship to give and receive, to be both a giver of support and a receiver of it. But responsibility in friendship also means being accountable for the way you treat your friends. This means being mindful of how your actions and words affect them, recognizing when you have done something wrong, and having the courage to apologize and make amends. In healthy friendships, there is a constant recalibration, where both parties are continually checking in with each other to ensure that their needs are being met and their boundaries respected. Without this level of accountability, friendships can become toxic, with one person taking advantage of the other's generosity or care. Thus, responsibility is not just about giving, but about maintaining balance, fairness, and respect in the relationship. Further, responsibility in friendship extends to how you handle the highs and lows of life together. True friends don't just show up in moments of joy, they also stand by each other during times of pain and hardship. In fact, these times often define the strength of the bond. It is easy to be a friend when things are going well, but it is in the face of adversity that friendship's true character is tested. The responsibility here is the commitment to stay present for your friend even when they are at their lowest. This means not abandoning them in their struggles, offering words of encouragement or a helping hand, and showing them that they are not alone. The very nature of friendship is tested through adversity, and it is in these moments that you discover whether your relationship can withstand the weight of life's challenges. Another crucial aspect of responsibility in friendship is honesty. It can be tempting to avoid difficult conversations or to hide your true feelings, but this only leads to misunderstanding and resentment. Responsibility in friendship means having the courage to speak the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. It means being willing to confront issues head-on and not letting problems fester in silence. Whether it's addressing an unresolved conflict or simply voicing concerns about your relationship, honesty fosters a deeper understanding and prevents the erosion of trust. Without honesty, friendships are hollow, built on shallow connections that can easily crumble under pressure. At a broader level, responsibility in friendship also involves being willing to grow and evolve with one another. People change over time, and friendships must evolve along with them. As you go through different stages in life, your priorities, goals, and perspectives may shift, and it is essential that you continue to nurture the friendship as you both grow. This requires flexibility and the willingness to adapt to each other's changing circumstances. Responsibility here means not holding on to the past version of your friend or trying to force them into a box that no longer fits. It means accepting who they are becoming and supporting their growth, even if it leads them down a different path than the one you initially expected. In the end, friendship is built on responsibility because it is, at its heart, about commitment to be there for each other, to care for one another's well-being, to respect boundaries, to be honest, and to support each other's growth. It's not a relationship of convenience, but a relationship of purpose and intention. Without responsibility, friendship degenerates into mere acquaintance, a superficial connection that offers little depth or meaning. But when responsibility is embraced, when both people actively work to nurture the bond, the result is a friendship that brings richness, joy, and a sense of fulfillment to life. Vulnerability is often viewed as a weakness in many areas of life, something to be guarded against, hidden, or avoided. Yet in the context of friendship, vulnerability plays an entirely different role. It is, in fact, the very foundation upon which meaningful relationships are built. To be vulnerable in friendship is not about showing weakness, but about showing the authentic self stripped of pretense and defenses. It requires courage, humility, and a willingness to expose your innermost thoughts, fears, and desires to another person. Only through vulnerability can a friendship transcend the superficial and become a true, deep connection. At its core, vulnerability is about trust. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are essentially saying, I trust you enough to show you who I really am, without the masks I wear for the world. It is in these moments of raw honesty that a real friendship is forged. If both individuals are willing to open up and share their vulnerabilities, the relationship deepens in a way that is impossible to achieve through guarded interactions or small talk. This mutual sharing of vulnerabilities creates a bond that goes beyond the surface, fostering a sense of intimacy that is crucial for a meaningful connection. One of the most significant aspects of vulnerability in friendship is the courage to be seen for who you truly are, flaws and all. It means admitting when you are scared, uncertain, or struggling with something. It means sharing the parts of yourself that you might feel ashamed of or vulnerable about, and doing so without fear of judgment or rejection. This level of openness requires trust that the other person will receive what you share with compassion and understanding rather than criticism or dismissal. It is through this process of being accepted and loved for who we are without condition that we are able to experience the healing and growth that friendship offers. Moreover, vulnerability allows for emotional honesty. It means not only sharing the happy moments, but also the pain and the struggles. True friends are there for one another during times of sorrow, anxiety, and uncertainty. It's in these difficult moments that vulnerability is most powerful. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable with a friend, you are offering them the opportunity to support you, to show empathy, and to remind you that you are not alone in your suffering. In doing so, you also strengthen the trust between you and your friend. They, too, will feel the freedom to share their own vulnerabilities with you, creating a cycle of mutual support and care. Being vulnerable in friendship also involves acknowledging the imperfections in yourself and in your relationship. No one is perfect, and no friendship is without its challenges. In fact, friendships that are never tested by vulnerability often remain shallow and can be easily shattered by conflict or hardship. By allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you create space for your friend to see the areas where you are not perfect and for them to express their own imperfections. This is not a weakness, but a strength because it fosters authenticity. When both individuals in a friendship are willing to be imperfect together, they can face the difficulties of life not as isolated individuals, but as a united team. Furthermore, vulnerability encourages empathy. When you share your struggles and open up about your emotional experiences, you provide your friend with the opportunity to empathize with you. This shared emotional understanding deepens the connection between you and creates a sense of mutual care. Through vulnerability, you begin to see the world through each other's eyes, and this understanding strengthens the bond between friends. Empathy is one of the pillars of friendship, and without vulnerability, it is difficult to develop this deep understanding of one another's emotional states. But vulnerability is not just about sharing pain and hardship, it also involves sharing joy, excitement, and hope. Often, when we experience something positive in our lives, we want to share it with others, to let them in on our happiness and achievements. Vulnerability in this context is about expressing our joy, our hopes, and our dreams with those we trust. It is an act of sharing our highest, most aspirational selves. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable in these moments means that you are not afraid to show your excitement or your ambitions, even if they may seem uncertain or incomplete. It is in these moments that friendships are truly nurtured, as your friend becomes a witness to both your light and your dark, and your relationship grows richer and fuller. There is also a reciprocity to vulnerability in friendship. The act of opening up creates a space for the other person to do the same. When one person is vulnerable, it gives the other permission to be vulnerable in return. This is how the friendship deepens, not through one-sided sharing, but through the mutual exchange of emotional truths. It is through this back and forth of shared vulnerability that friends learn to support one another in a way that transcends surface-level interactions. This mutual exchange fosters a sense of equality and balance in the relationship, where both individuals feel safe and valued. The role of vulnerability in friendship cannot be overstated. It is not merely about sharing your deepest, darkest secrets or exposing your emotional wounds. It is about being willing to show up as your authentic self, flawed, imperfect, and full of both strength and fragility. It is through vulnerability that a friendship evolves from a casual connection to a meaningful, lasting bond. The act of opening yourself up to another person is a gift, and it is only through vulnerability that you can truly experience the depth and richness of friendship. Without it, relationships remain superficial, unable to provide the true companionship and support that we all need in life. Vulnerability is therefore not a weakness, but the very heart of a strong, enduring friendship. Friendship is often seen as a source of comfort, companionship, and joy, but it is also a profound mechanism for self-reflection and growth. It is through our friendships that we are most often confronted with who we truly are. A friend is not just someone with whom you share your experiences or enjoy mutual interests. They are, in many ways, a mirror reflecting back to you both your strengths and weaknesses, your successes and failures, your aspirations and your flaws. This reflection is crucial for personal development because it allows you to see yourself more clearly and, by extension, grow into the person you are meant to become. In the most honest and fulfilling friendships, there is an unspoken contract to challenge each other. True friends are not content to simply agree with everything you say or do. Instead, they encourage you to reflect on your actions, thoughts, and beliefs. They ask difficult questions, sometimes push you to confront uncomfortable truths, and hold up a mirror to your behavior. It is precisely this reflection that promotes growth. When you are surrounded by people who truly care about you, they will not allow you to settle for mediocrity or fall into bad habits without bringing it to your attention. This is a gift, one that encourages self-awareness and ultimately positive change. Through friendships, we come to understand not just how we see ourselves, but how others perceive us. This external perspective is invaluable because it offers insight into parts of ourselves that may remain hidden in our own consciousness. Sometimes we can be blind to our own behavior or attitudes, whether it's a tendency to be overly critical, an inability to accept help, or a fear of vulnerability. A friend who is willing to offer constructive feedback, even if it's difficult to hear, can help you see these blind spots and grow as a person. They may provide insights into how you are impacting others, and in turn, help you develop greater emotional intelligence and empathy. Reflection through friendship also serves as a way to challenge limiting beliefs and self-doubt. We all have moments when we question our worth or capabilities, when we feel lost or unsure of the next step in life. In these times, a true friend can offer not only support, but a different perspective, one that helps you reframe your thoughts and see the potential in yourself that you might have overlooked. When you share your doubts or insecurities with a friend, they can remind you of your strengths, past achievements, and the qualities that make you unique. This is a form of reflection that can help you break free from self-imposed limitations and move forward with renewed confidence and purpose. Friendships also provide opportunities for growth by offering a safe space to experiment with new ideas, behaviors, and even identities. As we navigate the complexities of life, we often find ourselves undergoing periods of transformation, whether it's changing careers, moving to a new city, or exploring different worldviews. In these times of change, friends act as anchors. They provide a supportive environment where you can test out new aspects of yourself without fear of rejection. They celebrate your growth and evolution even when you may feel uncertain about it yourself. This encouragement and acceptance are essential for cultivating self-growth because it allows you to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things with the confidence that you are supported by those who care about you. Moreover, friendship fosters growth through the process of learning from each other. Each individual brings a unique set of experiences, knowledge, and perspectives to a relationship. Through conversation, shared experiences, and mutual teaching, friends expose each other to new ideas, concepts, and ways of thinking. These exchanges broaden your understanding of the world and challenge your assumptions. For instance, a friend with a different cultural background may offer new insights into how you view relationships or career success, or a friend with a different profession may inspire you to consider new possibilities in your own career. This intellectual and emotional exchange promotes growth by expanding your worldview and encouraging you to think critically about your own beliefs. In the midst of hardship, friendships are often the most powerful catalyst for growth. Life is full of challenges, and it is in times of adversity that our true character is revealed. During these times, a friend can be a source of strength, offering not just a listening ear but also practical advice or emotional support. The reflections that arise from these difficult moments can be transformative. For example, a friend who helps you navigate a personal loss or a career setback can offer a perspective that you may not have considered. Their support allows you to process your emotions and learn from the experience, turning a painful moment into a valuable lesson. These shared experiences, marked by struggle and growth, ultimately strengthen the friendship in both individuals involved. Finally, friendship nurtures personal growth by reminding us of the importance of giving and receiving. It is easy to fall into patterns of self-absorption or isolation, particularly when life becomes overwhelming. However, friendship teaches us that growth happens not only when we focus on ourselves, but also when we extend ourselves to others. Offering support, showing empathy, and being present for a friend in need are all acts that nurture both personal growth and the relationship. At the same time, being open to receiving help and support from others allows us to be humble and to learn from those around us. This reciprocal exchange of giving and receiving fosters emotional maturity, resilience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. In conclusion, friendship provides a critical mirror for self-reflection and growth. Through honest feedback, shared experiences, and emotional support, friends challenge us to become better versions of ourselves. They offer a safe space for vulnerability, help us confront our weaknesses, and encourage us to embrace our strengths. It is through these relationships that we are able to grow, not only as individuals, but also as part of a supportive, interconnected community. Whether through intellectual exchange, emotional support, or shared hardship, friendship is a powerful force that propels us toward greater self-awareness and continuous personal evolution. Isolation is often seen as a means of escaping the chaos of the world or retreating into solitude for peace and reflection. While solitude can be enriching and even necessary for self-care, prolonged isolation, especially when it is self-imposed, can lead to profound negative consequences for mental and emotional well-being. When a person isolates themselves for extended periods, they become increasingly disconnected from the world around them, and this detachment can spiral into self-destruction. The human need for connection, validation, and emotional support is fundamental, and without these, isolation creates an environment where self-doubt, anxiety, and depression can flourish. Over time, isolation can erode the sense of self, diminish personal growth, and lead to a deep sense of despair. One of the primary dangers of isolation is the gradual erosion of mental health. When a person is alone for too long, they lack the external perspectives that friends, family, or even casual acquaintances can provide. Without these interactions, individuals can become trapped in their own thoughts and negative self-talk. This constant internal dialogue, when left unchecked, can become overwhelming, often magnifying doubts and insecurities. A person may begin to view themselves through a distorted lens, seeing their flaws and failures as insurmountable. Without someone to challenge these distorted perceptions, the individual can spiral deeper into self-criticism, which eventually leads to feelings of worthlessness or hopelessness. The absence of outside perspectives can also hinder a person's ability to make sound judgments about their lives. When isolated, individuals often lack the input of others to help them see the broader picture. In healthy relationships, friends and loved ones offer advice, feedback, and different viewpoints that challenge narrow thinking. They help us confront our blind spots, whether it's about personal habits, career choices, or emotional patterns. Isolation, however, removes these checks and balances. When a person is cut off from external feedback, their ability to assess situations objectively becomes clouded. The result is that small issues can be blown out of proportion, while more significant problems are ignored or dismissed. The absence of critical reflection can prevent personal growth and hinder decision-making, leaving the individual stuck in an unproductive and often unhealthy state. Emotional regulation also suffers when one is isolated for too long. Relationships act as mirrors that reflect our emotions and experiences. They provide a safe space for expressing fears, joys, anger, and sadness, which helps us process these emotions in a healthy way. However, when isolated, there is no one to share these feelings with. The internalization of emotions can lead to emotional buildup, which eventually manifests as anxiety, depression, or even anger. The lack of emotional release creates an internal pressure that can be psychologically damaging. The feeling of being unheard or unseen can be profoundly isolating, further deepening the emotional distress. Isolation also impacts the sense of purpose and motivation. Human beings thrive on connection, not just for emotional support, but also for shared goals and mutual encouragement. The sense of belonging to a community or having relationships based on common values and interests provides a foundation for personal growth and achievement. When isolated, a person lacks the external motivation that relationships provide. There is no one to share successes with, no one to offer praise or encouragement, and no one to hold them accountable when they stray from their goals. The absence of these relational dynamics can lead to stagnation, where a person loses sight of their aspirations, feels disconnected from their purpose, and becomes disillusioned with the idea of growth altogether. Over time, this lack of external motivation can lead to a complete loss of direction, and the individual may feel adrift or purposeless. Perhaps most critically, isolation damages the fundamental human need for connection. Human beings are social creatures, wired to form bonds and create relationships. From an evolutionary standpoint, our survival has depended on our ability to connect with others, work in groups, and build communities. Our brains are hardwired to seek out connection and to be emotionally impacted by social interactions. When a person is cut off from others, they experience a sense of loneliness that is not just uncomfortable but biologically painful. This loneliness can trigger a cascade of negative effects on the body and mind, contributing to an increased risk of depression, anxiety, and even physical ailments such as cardiovascular disease. The absence of meaningful relationships makes individuals feel invisible, unimportant, and disconnected from the world around them. This deep sense of loneliness can lead to self-destructive thoughts and behaviors as the person struggles to cope with their overwhelming emotional isolation. The desire for connection is so innate that prolonged isolation can cause a person to lose touch with their own identity. In relationships, we find mirrors that help us understand ourselves. The way others react to us, the feedback we receive, and the way we engage with the world through our friendships and family all shape our self-concept. When isolated, a person is left without these reflections. They become disconnected from the external world and, in turn, disconnected from themselves. This disconnection can lead to a crisis of identity, where a person no longer knows who they are or what they stand for. They may question their purpose, their values, or their worth. This internal chaos can lead to feelings of alienation and disillusionment, exacerbating the downward spiral of self-doubt and self-destruction. Isolation can breed negative coping mechanisms as individuals seek ways to numb or escape their pain. Without the support of others, individuals may turn to harmful habits like substance abuse, overeating, or excessive screen time as a way to cope with their feelings. These behaviors provide temporary relief but do nothing to address the underlying issue of isolation. In fact, they often compound the problem, leading to further emotional and physical distress. The more a person isolates themselves and resorts to unhealthy coping mechanisms, the deeper they fall into a cycle of self-destruction. Isolation leads to self-destruction because it strips away the very things that nourish the human soul: connection, purpose, emotional expression, and self-reflection. Without these, a person becomes lost in their own mind, disconnected from both themselves and the world. The silence of isolation becomes deafening, and in that silence, self-doubt, fear, and despair take root. It is only through meaningful relationships and external support that we can break free from the destructive grip of isolation and rediscover a sense of self, belonging, and purpose. Small acts have an incredible power to forge connections between individuals. In a world where grand gestures and large accomplishments often take center stage, we tend to overlook the simple, everyday actions that create meaningful bonds. However, these seemingly small, subtle acts of kindness, understanding, and presence are often the very foundation of human connection. The little things, a shared smile, a kind word, a helping hand, can go far beyond their immediate effect and create lasting relationships, bridging gaps and uniting people in ways that big gestures cannot. The first way in which small acts lead to connection is through the subtle communication of care and empathy. A simple greeting or a brief conversation with a neighbor might seem trivial, but these acts of social engagement convey an important message. I see you. I acknowledge your presence. These small moments allow people to feel recognized and valued, something that we all need as human beings. The warmth of a friendly smile or a genuine compliment can have a profound impact on someone's day. It's in these tiny exchanges that the foundation for trust and connection is built. They signal to others that you care about their existence and are open to building a relationship. In this way, small acts of kindness create an environment in which people feel comfortable opening up and becoming more vulnerable, fostering a deeper connection. These small acts encourage emotional reciprocity. When we experience kindness from others, it often elicits a desire to reciprocate, creating a cycle of positive interaction. A friend who takes a few minutes to listen to your concerns, a colleague who offers a small act of help, or a stranger who lends a hand, all these actions trigger a natural impulse to return the favor. This back and forth exchange, though small, creates a bond based on mutual care and respect. The cumulative effect of these small gestures is a growing sense of shared humanity, where individuals begin to feel that they are part of a community rather than isolated from it. Over time, these small acts can form the bedrock of a lasting relationship, one that evolves beyond mere courtesy into something deeper and more substantial. One of the most powerful aspects of small acts is their ability to transcend barriers. In a diverse world, people often find it difficult to connect because of differences in background, culture, or personal beliefs. Large gestures or grand expressions of connection may be intimidating or even alienating in such circumstances, but small acts are universally understood. A simple act of kindness can cut through the noise of differences, creating a moment of shared humanity. For instance, offering a helping hand to someone struggling with their groceries or simply sharing a seat on a crowded bus conveys understanding and respect in a way that transcends cultural, racial, or socioeconomic barriers. These small moments of kindness create opportunities for individuals to connect with others in a way that is natural, approachable, and free of judgment. Small acts also have a profound effect on our own sense of purpose and fulfillment. We are wired for connection, and when we engage in these small gestures of kindness, we reinforce our own sense of belonging and value. By helping others, we not only make a difference in their lives, but also create meaning in our own. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that making a real impact requires something monumental, but the truth is that it's the accumulation of small acts that shape our interactions in our communities. Offering someone a genuine compliment or helping a colleague with a task may seem insignificant in isolation, but when done consistently, it creates a sense of interconnectedness that gives life more depth and purpose. These small, everyday actions remind us that our lives have meaning and that we are part of a greater whole. The beauty of small acts lies in their ability to build trust and intimacy over time. Trust isn't built overnight through grand declarations. It is nurtured through the repeated and consistent demonstration of care, reliability, and respect. When we make small, positive gestures towards others, whether it's offering a listening ear, showing patience, or simply being present, we are demonstrating our commitment to the relationship. These consistent acts of kindness and consideration show others that we are dependable, that we value them, and that we are invested in their well-being. As trust builds, so does the depth of the connection. Over time, these small acts accumulate, creating a foundation of emotional intimacy that allows the relationship to flourish. Small acts foster connection by encouraging us to be present in the moment. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to overlook the people around us, to rush through interactions without truly engaging. Small acts, whether it's pausing to acknowledge a colleague or taking the time to listen to a friend, force us to slow down and truly be present with others. This presence fosters a deeper connection because it communicates that the person in front of you matters. Being fully engaged, offering undivided attention, or simply taking a moment to ask how someone is doing shows respect and care. In an age where people are often distracted and disconnected, these small gestures serve as reminders of the importance of being present, both in our relationships and in our lives. These small acts also create a ripple effect. One act of kindness often leads to another, as people inspired by generosity and warmth are motivated to pay it forward. This ripple effect can extend far beyond the initial interaction, creating a larger sense of community and connection. When a person feels seen, heard, and cared for, they are more likely to spread those feelings to others. It is in this way that small acts of kindness can snowball, leading to the creation of a compassionate and connected network of individuals who work together to support and uplift one another. The impact of small acts, therefore, extends beyond the individual and ripples outward, fostering a more connected and empathetic society. The simplicity of small acts doesn't diminish their power. On the contrary, it makes them even more significant. They require little effort or time, but have the ability to change someone's perspective, brighten their day, and in some cases alter the course of their life. By focusing on these small moments of connection, we build a foundation for deeper relationships that are based not on grandiose gestures or superficial interactions, but on genuine care, understanding, and shared humanity. Small acts may seem inconsequential in the moment, but over time they have the potential to create a profound impact, knitting people together in a web of kindness, empathy, and connection that endures. Through the power of small acts, we discover the profound truth that connection doesn't require grand gestures. It is built, instead, through the simple everyday moments of human interaction. Friendship is one of the most rewarding aspects of life, yet the true depth of friendship is often misunderstood. Many people enter friendships with the expectation of receiving something in return, whether it's emotional support, companionship, or validation. While these things naturally arise in healthy friendships, the foundation of a lasting and meaningful relationship lies in giving without expecting anything back. The beauty of friendship is not found in what we can take from others, but in what we are willing to offer without a sense of entitlement. It's through acts of generosity, selflessness, and unconditional support that we build trust and create bonds that are enduring and fulfilling. True friendship is built on the premise of giving. This doesn't necessarily mean giving material things, although that can certainly be part of it. Rather, it's about giving of oneself, giving time, energy, emotional support, and understanding. True friends offer their presence without the expectation of something in return. This can mean being there when your friend needs someone to talk to, helping them when they are struggling, or simply showing up to support them in their endeavors, no matter how small. It's through these acts of giving that we demonstrate our commitment to the relationship and to the other person's well-being. The act of giving in friendship also means being willing to be vulnerable. It's not just about giving support, but also about being open and honest with each other. Vulnerability is essential in friendship because it creates a space where both individuals can feel safe sharing their fears, insecurities, and dreams without judgment. When we offer our true selves to our friends without hiding behind masks or walls, we are giving them the opportunity to truly know us. This kind of emotional openness fosters deeper connections, allowing both people to grow and evolve together. Without the expectation of receiving something in return, vulnerability becomes a gift in itself, one that deepens trust and intimacy. When we give without expecting, we also cultivate a sense of gratitude and appreciation. The act of giving becomes its own reward. We are not focused on what we will get back, but are instead invested in the joy and satisfaction that comes from knowing we have made a difference in someone else's life. In this way, friendship becomes a cycle of generosity, where each person gives in their own way and, in turn, receives the intangible rewards of emotional closeness, shared experiences, and mutual respect. Even when we give without receiving directly in the moment, we know that our actions contribute to the overall strength of the relationship. This gives us a deep sense of fulfillment, because true friendship is not a transaction, but a continuous exchange of love and support. Giving in friendship is not only about offering emotional support or spending time together, it also involves being there in times of need, even when it's inconvenient. True friends will go out of their way to help each other, even if it means sacrificing their own time or comfort. This kind of giving demonstrates a deep level of care and commitment. It shows that the other person's needs matter more than one's own convenience. When we give in this way without expecting anything in return, we strengthen the bond between us and our friends. It's through these selfless acts that trust is built, as both individuals know they can rely on each other when it truly matters. One of the most powerful aspects of giving in friendship is the way it transcends conditions or expectations. In a world where so much of our interactions are transactional, friendship offers a rare opportunity to be with someone without the pressure of getting something back. When we give freely without expectation, we are able to focus on the joy of the moment, the satisfaction of helping someone else, and the beauty of the relationship itself. This kind of unconditional giving fosters a sense of security and peace in the friendship because both parties understand that their bond is not contingent on anything other than mutual care and respect. This is what separates true friendship from mere acquaintance or transactional relationships. It's important to note that giving in friendship is not about self-sacrifice to the point of neglecting one's own well-being. Healthy friendship involves a balance of giving and receiving, and while it is important to offer support, time, and care, it is equally important to ensure that one's own emotional needs are met. When giving becomes imbalanced, it can lead to resentment, burnout, or feelings of being taken for granted. The key is that the giving comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. True friendship encourages a sense of mutual respect, where both people are able to give freely and equally, without one person feeling as though they are doing all the giving while receiving little in return. This kind of unbalanced relationship can also arise when one or both individuals enter the friendship with the wrong expectations. If either person is constantly expecting something in return, whether it's validation, material rewards, or attention, the relationship will inevitably feel strained. Friendship, at its best, is not about a transactional exchange. It's about being there for each other, offering emotional and practical support, and providing a space where both individuals can grow and thrive. The joy of friendship comes not from what we can extract from each other, but from what we can offer in terms of kindness, generosity, and understanding. This is the essence of what it means to be a true friend, offering yourself fully, without expecting anything in return, and finding joy in the process of giving. Over time, the more we give freely in friendship, the more we discover that the act of giving is a source of joy and fulfillment in and of itself. When we approach our friendships with an open heart, focused on giving rather than receiving, we find that the relationships we build are not just more fulfilling, but also more enduring. We learn that the strength of a friendship is not based on how much we get from it, but on how much we are willing to give selflessly and without expectation. In the end, it is through this kind of giving that friendships truly flourish, creating bonds that are deep, lasting, and irreplaceable. Building meaningful relationships is one of life's most rewarding experiences, yet it is also one of its greatest challenges. In a world that often values speed, convenience, and surface-level connections, developing deep and lasting relationships requires effort, patience, and vulnerability. The process of forming connections with others can be fraught with obstacles, and while the rewards of meaningful relationships are undeniable, the journey to get there is rarely simple or straightforward. One of the most significant challenges in building meaningful relationships is the initial barrier of trust. Trust is the foundation upon which all meaningful connections are built, but it is something that takes time to establish and can be easily broken. In a world where people are often burned by past experiences, there is a natural hesitation to trust others. Individuals may carry the weight of previous betrayals or disappointments, making it difficult to open up to new people. Overcoming this mistrust requires not only time, but also consistent and genuine efforts from both sides to demonstrate reliability, honesty, and integrity. Building trust means allowing oneself to be vulnerable, showing others that you can be depended upon, and working to prove that your intentions are sincere. However, even when both parties are committed to this process, the risk of trust being broken is always present, which can make the journey of building meaningful relationships feel uncertain and precarious. Another major challenge in forming deep relationships is the fear of vulnerability. In order to truly connect with others, it is necessary to expose one's inner self, the fears, desires, insecurities, and aspirations that shape who we are. Vulnerability, however, is often seen as a weakness or something to be avoided. Many people are hesitant to share their true feelings or be open about their struggles, fearing judgment or rejection. This fear can prevent them from forming genuine connections. When people hold back parts of themselves, the relationship remains superficial, and the opportunity for true closeness is missed. Yet, vulnerability is the very thing that fosters empathy, understanding, and emotional intimacy in relationships. It is through vulnerability that we come to understand each other on a deeper level and create bonds that are authentic and lasting. The challenge lies in overcoming the natural defense mechanisms that keep us from opening up and instead embracing the discomfort that comes with revealing our true selves. The modern world presents another obstacle to building meaningful relationships: the prevalence of digital communication. While technology has made it easier than ever to connect with people across distances, it has also led to a rise in shallow, impersonal interactions. Social media, texting, and other forms of virtual communication often offer quick and convenient ways to stay in touch, but they lack the depth and nuance that face-to-face conversations provide. Online interactions tend to be more transactional and less emotionally fulfilling, and the ability to truly connect with someone can be lost behind screens and superficial exchanges. The challenge of building meaningful relationships in this digital age is finding ways to move beyond the convenience of virtual communication and invest in real, in-person interactions that allow for genuine connection. This requires making time for face-to-face conversations, prioritizing quality over quantity, and learning how to navigate the distractions of modern technology in favor of deeper, more intentional relationships. Another significant challenge in building meaningful relationships is the struggle to balance individuality with connection. As much as we long for deep and meaningful relationships, we must also maintain our sense of self and independence. It can be difficult to strike this balance, especially when we feel pressure to conform to the expectations of others or to constantly prioritize the needs of the relationship over our own. Healthy relationships thrive when both individuals are able to maintain their personal identities while also fostering a sense of closeness and shared connection. The challenge lies in being true to oneself while also being present and supportive for the other person. This requires setting boundaries, communicating openly about needs and desires, and being willing to compromise without losing sight of who we are. Building a meaningful relationship means learning how to navigate this delicate balance between connection and individuality, which often requires ongoing self-reflection and growth. Time is another critical factor that complicates the process of building meaningful relationships. In today's fast-paced world, many people feel overwhelmed by their commitments and responsibilities. Work, family, and other obligations often take priority, leaving little room for nurturing relationships. Building a deep connection with another person takes time to understand each other's perspectives, time to listen, and time to share experiences together. In a world that values efficiency, it can be difficult to slow down and dedicate the necessary time to cultivate meaningful relationships. The challenge, therefore, is not only in finding the time, but also in prioritizing relationships over other distractions. But it requires a conscious decision to invest in others, to create space in our busy lives for authentic connection, and to recognize that relationships are not a luxury, but a fundamental part of a fulfilling life. Conflict is another challenge that often arises when building meaningful relationships. No relationship is without its disagreements or differences, and how those conflicts are handled can make or break the connection. In many cases, people avoid addressing issues either because they fear confrontation or because they don't know how to communicate effectively. Avoiding conflict, however, only leads to unresolved tension and emotional distance. The challenge lies in learning how to navigate disagreements with respect and understanding, to communicate openly and honestly about one's feelings, and to approach conflict as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat to the relationship. When both people are committed to working through their differences and finding common ground, conflict can actually strengthen the relationship, deepening the connection and fostering greater empathy. Finally, one of the most difficult challenges in building meaningful relationships is the realization that not all relationships will be deep or lasting. It can be painful to invest time and energy into a relationship only to find that it does not evolve as we hoped. People change, circumstances shift, and sometimes connections simply don't take root in the way we expect. The challenge here is to accept that not every relationship will be meaningful or enduring, and that this is a natural part of life. However, even in these cases, the effort put into forming the relationship is not wasted. Every interaction teaches us something about ourselves and others, and every experience offers an opportunity for growth. In the end, building meaningful relationships is a challenging but deeply rewarding endeavor. It requires trust, vulnerability, time, communication, and the willingness to embrace conflict and change. While it is often difficult to navigate these obstacles, the connections we form through these efforts bring immense value to our lives, enriching us in ways that surface-level interactions never could. Meaningful relationships are the cornerstone of human happiness, and the challenges we face in building them are ultimately worth the effort. In conclusion, the journey to building meaningful relationships is complex, demanding both patience and perseverance. It requires us to confront challenges such as overcoming trust barriers, embracing vulnerability, navigating digital distractions, and balancing individuality with connection. At its core, the process of forging deep bonds with others is not about avoiding difficulty, but about embracing it with a genuine commitment to growth, understanding, and mutual care. The true reward lies not in the absence of challenges, but in how we respond to them and in the connections we build through our shared efforts. Through time, effort, and vulnerability, relationships become the cornerstone of a fulfilled life, offering us not only companionship but also opportunities for personal growth and emotional richness. As you embark on the path of building and nurturing meaningful relationships, I wish you the best of luck. May you find the strength to face the challenges and the courage to embrace the beauty of genuine connection. Thank you for your time and attention. May your relationships bring you the fulfillment and joy that you seek.